So thank you, Alan, for recording. So I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. We don't have a village report today, but we do have Sherry here. And I don't know, Sherry, do you want to start or do you?
I'm going to defer to Ken Jenkins first.
You want to let
and
Ken?
he could give
Okay.
an overall county thing, and then I could do the rest of it and Dobbs.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, thanks, Michelle. It's always good seeing the Rivertown, the Rivertown Chamber and doing all the great work. I would do the same thing as everyone's been talking about. From a county perspective, we know that we are moving into a different direction where we're trying to figure out ways to live through the endemic, and how do we live with COVID and trying to do the things as much as possible. I know that for the chambers and specifically here at Rivertowns that we've been trying, and Sherry's done an outstanding dynamic job to make sure that we're getting you all the test kits to be able to give to the team, to be able to help the businesses in the community, to help with the workers. And we're going to continue to do that and be able to target. We keep telling folks while the numbers are still going down, we still want to make sure that everyone is protecting themselves as best as possible. The county executive lifted the indoor mask mandate that was only in county office buildings. We in Westchester have been privileged and blessed by the amount of people that have gone out and gotten their full vaccinations on their own. I think we were somewhere in the 95, 94% range. People that got boosted, and now we realize that fully vaccinated means different things, and we got to continue to do that particular work to be able to move forward. We announced yesterday the $17 million nonprofit and faith-based program. That's another business first initiative. I know that county executive's been here and working through Sherry with you to make sure that we're helping to continue to support Rivertown Chamber and everyone else trying to get everything back together. So whatever things we can do from the county, Sherry has been dynamic in advocating, and we've been working with everyone to try to continue to get things going. I am sorry I missed the reopening of the movie theater. I don't want to misstate the name. Sherry was like, "You should come, Ken, it's going to be awesome." And I was there in the older iteration of it. I like Alamo. I was in Alamo beforehand, so I went to that one. I think I had a membership because you had to get a membership for whatever set of reasons. I don't remember how often I used it. I know we went a couple of times to the old theater, but again, it's awesome news as we continue to move on. So whatever things we can do in the county to help, we're going to be there to assist. And to pass to Sherry so she can finish that up, and then whatever things, and I'll be here stalking in the background for a few moments before we're Zoom jumping. And this is the last, I gotta tell you, I'm spoiled as all hell to be able to go to 5 or 6 Zoom meetings or WebEx or Microsoft Teams or whatever. And now that I have to drive around to a lot more places, it is just, I am spoiled. I'm just telling you, right? I want to be able to, and certainly the county executive loves to go around and talk with people. We like seeing people, and we love giving people hugs and that kind of stuff. And as an old Apple guy, as you were talking about before, I'm super duper friendly and that kind of thing. But again, let me pass over to Sherry to continue the report, because I know she has some more exciting things to mention.
Great. Yeah, there's always things going on. So we did announce the grant program that was similar to the one that we gave to the chambers is now being offered to not-for-profits and faith-based. To basically, what's different is this time around, we're going to be reimbursing these organizations for things that they did. So for example, the Dobbs Ferry Food Pantry, if they had receipts and things that they laid out, this is a reimbursement thing. We're also setting up nonprofit Westchester and a faith-based organization, I can't remember which, but I'll get it to you, has set up to help with the application process. Nonprofit Westchester actually set up info sessions so people can ask questions. Also, what's different is that this application will be left open for a month, because we know that so many of these organizations, especially the smaller ones, just don't have things and you have to gather receipts. I mean, it's, you know, as time consuming as maybe the one that you did was, this is because you have to have all the stuff from the history. We're not just giving the money and then having you do it after. But as much money as that sounds like, you know, the nonprofit sector in Westchester is huge. I think 80% of the people in Westchester work for a nonprofit. I mean, so there's going to be a lot of stuff, but it's a good start. The county executive's also been talking a lot about the fact, pushing back against the misinformation and disinformation about crime in the county. Crime in Westchester is down. So nothing's happening because the state did something with bail reform. All that did was help keep poor people out of jail when they were just accused of something. But there's been a whole big pushback. He did a Facebook thing about it. There's some, you know, statistics comparing 2017 to today. So if anybody is interested in that, it's the actual truth and not people's like, oh, it just seems like. He also unveiled a cybersecurity task force today, headed up by a good friend of mine, Ruth Walter. And so that's going to be a very serious initiative, because once again, it's phishing schemes and it's things like that, but it's also disinformation. And that's something that is a real threat to our democracy and our way of life. So that's an exciting thing. We are putting together a job fair for healthcare, which I believe is going to be April 4th, and we're checking on the date. So if you are looking for people as a healthcare provider, or if there's healthcare providers or people looking for work, then this will be a good thing. And on April 7th, we're doing our Catalyst for Diversity, which will be for construction unions and MWBEs. I have also been approached by a few different people about trying to do a job fair for banks and different finance things. Like a lot of the local banks, especially because they're all getting taken over by other banks, they're having a hard time, you know, like getting people at all levels. So once again, if you work in an industry and, you know, you're having a hard time finding people, let us know and we'll see what we can do. We're very, very focused on workforce development. I sent around information about disabilities information session being put on by Rockland County. We'll be doing kind of a job fair for the disabilities community as well, as soon as we figure out the best way to, you know, to do that. And then in terms of, I mean, I can put on my Dobbs Ferry hat and just let you know that there's a whole bunch of capital projects that are in the pipeline at various stages that they're addressing. The village, the school district did settle the Landon case. If anyone wants to discuss that with me, I'm happy to discuss it. There's also a lot of misinformation about that out there. It's a very complex issue. And we took it very seriously. Dobbs Ferry will be home to the Rivertown's Pride celebration on June 25th. We will hopefully have the Phoenicia Flea on June 11th. I'm waiting for the final thing on that. We sent out a whole bunch of information in honor of Black History Month, and the county is doing their Trailblazer Awards tomorrow, which is on Facebook. So you can all watch that. It's really it's a really good event. I mean, it'd be nice if we were all in person, but you know, the good thing about this is that we can all go to multiple things at once. And you know, I'm ever available if there's any other questions or concerns. And I will be attending the Restaurant Alliance of Westchester meeting on Monday at River Market, representing the county, and I think Dobbs Ferry too. And that's it. Oh, also, I loved of course, the Rivertown Women's networking thing, moving around with Rebecca. That was really fun, even though I had to leave early, but it was great.
You want to give a recap because Alyssa's not on the call?
I mean, I'm happy to, because I think I'm her biggest fan. So it's a shame she's going to miss this. But it was really, it was movement and mindfulness, and two things that are really important to me personally. And so we did like a 20-minute, 25-minute like bar I mean, I was like, it was a workout. It was great. And then we did breakout rooms to kind of talk about what movement means to us, what our focus is for 2022. And it was just really, it's just nice to go to a meeting like that. That's really about you, and stuff. So as a woman, a working woman with 2 jobs and 2 kids and whatever, it was nice to just take a few minutes and really just connect and move and breathe. And so it was great.
Thank you. Well, we can skip over that on our agenda later on. We're giving the recap. So thank you, obviously, Ken and Sherry for coming every month to these meetings and giving us a county report. Are there any questions on the county level from anyone? No? Okay. All right. Well, we will.
Hello, George
Yes.
Latimer. I'm on the call too. just
Oh,
so you
hi,
know.
George.
Hi.
Welcome.
Nice to be with you.
Well, George, did
You
you
don't
get
have
to
to slow-
hear
you have
us?
to
You can
slow down
fill in
to
whatever we
know I'm here.
missed.
There is our good Rotarian County executive.
Hey, George, if there was something that Sherry or I missed that you want to share with the group, that would be great.
So I'm fine. I just want everybody to know I'm here as well, and we're all happy to be helpful. You can keep on going with the program. I'm good.
Thank you, George.
Hi, George. Michelle, I'm on too. It's Barb, but I don't know if my name came up because I'm on my phone. But
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
here.
cell phones, but thank you for letting us know. Great. Okay, so moving on the agenda, just a few old business housekeeping things. The 2022 vision, I just wanted to reiterate that at the last meeting, we went over that. It's basically, the guidelines for what the chamber is going to try to accomplish this year. And if you are interested in seeing that, reading about that, hearing, us run through it, you can look at the recording from the last meeting or the minutes from the last meeting to see the document. Second item is board positions and committee chairs. We still have some vacancies. We're looking for a vice president. As always, I need a partner. And then a couple committee chairs. We really would like to have an active minority-owned business committee this year and a fundraising committee. And then the third one, why am I forgetting it? Tourism and commerce, a focus on tourism and commerce, basically bringing people, ideas for bringing people to the downtowns. So those 3 areas, if you're interested, if you can think of another business, member or not, that might be good for this, or may have ideas for these committees, that might be our person to chair it. The chamber, can certainly support initiatives, but we need a chair to really run with ideas. So let us know. Email Alan. And Alan, just so you guys know, he has put the agenda in the chat, and you can email info@rivertownschamber.com for anything that we mention here after the meeting, and we'll get in touch with you after the meeting. Third item is just to let you know that the 2022 budget that we presented at the last meeting was approved by the board at our board meeting last week. So great. Fourth item, I know we already kind of talked about this in networking. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony at Look Dine-In Cinemas. So it's a great space, and it was a great ribbon cutting. They really put a nice thing together. And from what I understand, the ticket prices are actually pretty reasonable. I think what was it, $12.50, right?
I think it's $15.50 like on Saturday nights or whatever, and like $12.50, but still, I mean, that's a lot better than the 25 it was at the iPic. So
yeah, and I heard it was comfortable, Sherry.
it's
You said-
awesome.
You
I
said
fell
you were like
asleep. I fell
reclined.
asleep. It was great. Yeah, took a nice
Good.
nap. Yeah.
Good.
Is
And
there
then
like a food and drink minimum?
Food was
You know?
good.
Is there like
I don't
is
think
there
there's a
or
minimum.
something?
No.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to order anything. I think they bring you popcorn too.
Oh, that's included?
I don't know. I mean, we didn't get it when we went for the thing, but I think it might be.
Cool. I'll skip over women's networking because Sherry gave the recap. I will just quickly mention, obviously she mentioned Bar3 was the partner presenter for this, but we also had a sponsor, Joanne Murray from Allen Block Insurance. So thank you, Joanne. And then the sixth item on old business is just rapid tests from Westchester County. We have been distributing these to businesses. You can reach out to the chamber to collect them. You can email info@Rivertown's Chamber and we can give you the location that's closest to you to pick them up. I think we still have some left. And I think we're gonna strategize maybe just kind of distributing them on our own now so that we, we can kind of get those out to all the businesses versus businesses having to go pick them up themselves. So stay tuned for that. New business, just to back up, any questions about old business?
I have a question about the landing. Would you go back to that, please?
Sure, Sherry,
About what?
the landing.
The landing.
Oh, okay, what's the question?
Can you explain that? What's going on there, please?
Yeah, I could explain it. It's very complicated. I'll try to do it like as a Reader's Digest version. So in 2018, the landing wanted to change from single family homes to condos. There was papers or something that got filed and never quite made it to Albany from the town of Greenberg. The school also closed the loophole, but closed it a little too late. So for the past 3.5, 4 years, this has been going on and being threatened to go to litigation. So the loophole that the landing found no longer exists. So it's been closed. So it's not like this could happen again. The misperception that's out there is that when the landing was built, it was built with a contract that said they could never change their tax status and that they will always be classified as private homes, because there was controversy when they built it because of where they built it, because of the land for natural resources, for Native American lands, for all this. There was a lot of bad karma, when it happened, but nothing was codified in writing. So somebody at the landing, an attorney or someone, found this thing and realized that they could try to make a case for this. The longer this was going on, it was always going to go to litigation. And there was like lawyers for the village, lawyers for the town, lawyers for the school, everyone trying to work together to come to some kind of conclusion. The powers that be at the landing were not, from my knowledge, and remember, I just became a trustee a few months ago, so I had to go back and try to read all this, but they were not willing to budge or settle, and they wanted to litigate. If this had gone to litigation, none of the attorneys for the three parties felt that we could win the case, despite all the arguments that were presented. And one of our trustees is a litigator, and our mayor is an attorney as well, and they looked at all of this themselves. So through a lot of talks and meetings and things that have been going on for the past few years, there was this settlement offer. We, the trustees, went back with a couple of counter offers, and they had several, discussions and advice of council meetings, and tried to look at every possibility. And the best possibility they could give us is we wouldn't win the case, but we would have a better chance on appeal. But still, not that any lawyers are going to give odds, but it was maybe 50-50 at best, if all the things lined up. And so what that would have meant had we gone to litigation is that the settlement would have been off the table, and the rebates that we were going to be responsible to pay back to the landing would have dated back to 2018. The litigation would have gone on conservatively for another 3 to 4 years. And if we didn't win, the rebates would be for every single year. And now you're looking at maybe $7 million. So that sucks, right? So then there was the thing, well, but if we won, Yeah, if we won. So one of the things I said at the meeting is, for me personally, as a trustee, I did not feel comfortable gambling with other people's money. If I want to make that decision on my own with my own household budget, that's our decision. If there's been a lot of people maligning the residents of the landing, I don't particularly think that's a fair thing to do, because I don't know that many of the residents even realized what this would mean. So I would challenge anybody who had somebody knock on their door and say, if I could lower your taxes 40%, that the first question you would ask would not be, what would the impact be on every other person in the village, right? So I don't know that they were aware that if their taxes got lower, it would have any impact on anybody else. Some of them might have been. But this whole thing from the beginning has pit neighbor against neighbor. And as a new trustee, 90% of my time the last few months was spent dealing with this one issue. So while I am also the liaison to the Human Rights and Diversity Committee and the Downtown Committee and the Beautification Committee, and there's infrastructure issues and there's all these things, most of what we talked about was this. So it was an incredible drain on the resources and the time of, you know, all the people in the village. So the trustees, the administrator, the office staff, that, you know, everybody. And that is time that could not be spent doing all the other things for the other 10,800 people who live in the village. So it was very, I mean, painful is too strong a word, but it was really icky. You know, it was a very hard thing to do. And we had a lot of what I would say animated discussions amongst ourselves as trustees. It was not unanimous. And even those of us who voted for the settlement did it with like, okay, well, this is what we have to do for the long run, but it didn't, you know, made a lot of people upset in the short run. I've tried to have conversations with people. I've tried to tell people that messaging me on Facebook may not be the best forum for having a conversation about it, but I'm happy to talk to people. There's certainly people who are more knowledgeable about this particular, you know, situation because they've been working on it. You know, Donna Cassell and people who've been on the board for a long time have been working on this issue tirelessly for years. And so that's basically what it came down to. It was really a rock and a hard place. No one was happy about it. It wasn't like we were like, yay. It was like, oh my God, you know, this is what we have to do. This is going to be tough. So that's where we are.
So my question is, going forward, are they going to have a reduced tax rate as being condominiums or being single family homes?
No, they're gonna reclassify as condos. And I'm not, you know, I'm
Which
not an
would be a
attorney, I'm not an
40%
accountant.
less.
Yeah, there was an assessment that was done, and it's really the town that does this, not the village.
Right.
So, so it's whatever. I don't, off the top of my head, I mean, I don't remember it, so I don't want to misquote numbers, but yes, they are going to get, moving forward, they're going to get a tax decrease. So that tax decrease, if all things stay the same, and I am trying, you know, we're all trying to look at ways. I mean, the county executive has done an amazing job at the county of looking at ways to bring in new revenue and to save money in other ways and things. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at, you know, more seriously are shared services, and looking at ways that we can try to cut some costs and things, because there are opportunities that in the past, I think were also mischaracterized and not presented properly. So I feel like I have a distinct advantage, you know, working for the county executive and seeing firsthand how he did a great Facebook Live on Tuesday, I think it was, with the mayor of Mount Kisco and public safety, because Mount Kisco uses Westchester County Police. It was still like their local guys, but they become like Westchester County police officers. So that's good for them in terms of resources and advancement. And it also takes the burden off the village. And Mount Kisco is, you know, not that dissimilar from Dobbs Ferry in a lot of ways. And so, those are things we could look into. I also, but, I'm strongly encouraging us to relook at the cannabis issue because, that is definite way to bring in revenue. And I would hate for us to miss the boat. And I know that the original vote was to opt out, but I think there's an opportunity now that people might be more open if it means that it could help with their taxes in light of what what just happened. So, this is the end of one thing and the beginning of a whole bunch of other things. But the one thing we know for sure is that loophole was closed. This can't happen again. So it's not like I can decide that my house is a condominium and, pay less taxes. So.
Great. Thank you for that
Mhm.
recap, Sherry.
Okay.
Appreciate it. So moving on to new business, we have our in-person meetings are obviously barring all things with COVID not changing overnight as they can. We're going to shift back to in-person meetings. I think for the long term, this mix of virtual and in-person actually really works. But given that, March, April, May is a good time to have meetings, to try to utilize outdoor space for the networking portions of it, we're going to shift to in-person, as well as other events. We're looking at bringing back our women's networking event in person and possibly a couple of other things. So stay tuned for that. The second item under new business is we officially have open paid positions for the chamber. We have put together job descriptions for, it's a lot of basically essentially what Dina and I have been doing. Dina and I have been doing a lot of essentially running of the business for the chamber and not so much programming and, working with the board to initiate benefits for the members. So because of the position that we were in with grants and because of the positive outlook that we have for growing our membership this year with certain strategies and other, ways that we're going to get creative to draw on revenue, we're looking to hire an executive director and an event manager. We will be posting the job descriptions on our website. The event manager is a very specific position that's going to go from like start to finish, logistics, promoting the event, just making sure that, managing the sponsors, making sure everybody gets recognized properly, making sure everything about the chamber events is under one person and comes together under one person. And that way the board can really focus on programming and figuring out how to do benefits for members. The executive director position, we're looking to hire it, but it's the job description is 3 pages long. We're really looking for an ideal person for this. We're not just looking for somebody to come in and take the workload off of the board. We're looking for somebody who can work in conjunction with the board, who can be a partner to the president and the treasurer and have a real true understanding for the purpose of the chamber and how to execute things for small businesses and how to advocate for small businesses. So we're asking for a lot in this position, and we're expecting that we might be looking for a while for this position. But we're hoping to find the right fit for it so that it's somebody that we can really truly rely on as a director for the organization versus someone that's just kind of helping with tasks that need to happen to make the chamber function, if that makes sense. So we'll be putting it out in email. It'll be on the website. Look out for that if you have people in mind for these positions. We really would like to hire the event manager right away, especially because we're going back to in-person events. And one of our strategies with our budget is to increase ticketed events and sponsored events. So we really need somebody that we can rely on to be the point person for all of these things. So that, hopefully will be an immediate as soon as we find a good fit. Executive director may be, a few months before we find someone that will work for the position. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Reports. Dina, do you want to give your quick treasurer update?
Yes, very quickly. So to date, we have 67 paid members. We have 6 members or prospective members who have committed to the chamber. We expect to be able to get those dues in within the next week or so. That'll bring us to about $20,000 in dues collected. Our target of 30,000 for the year is something that, we've discussed, with the board. Michelle and I have talked about, and we feel that that's a very achievable number, and hopefully we can exceed it. So the membership committee, the rest of us, we're all going to be working on getting that membership up.
Yeah, I would say, we in the past have averaged about like 100 members, maybe a little bit more. And I think we held that number last year largely because we offered the option to not have to pay dues. Also, businesses have closed even more since, 2020. So we have a lot of work to get ourselves back up to that number, but our goal is really beyond that number of members. And one of the big chunks of what we're doing in the vision this year is focusing on downtown specifically and strategizing for downtowns. So hopefully what that will mean is, is that we'll get more members from the downtown villages, especially ones that we don't have as many, because we started as the Dobbs Ferry Chamber. So our largest concentration of members is actually in Dobbs Ferry. As we concentrate really with each village, we have these great village reps, 2 village reps in each village that are excited to do the work in the village. We're starting the Zoom chats. I think that as we begin starting to show the downtown businesses, how the chamber can help, how we can bring everybody together to strategize what's needed in each village, that will help to grow the membership in other villages. So any questions for Dina? No? Okay.
I have one question. Do we have the demographics of what is the potential number of businesses that could become that basically are prospective members?
Yes, so we have, I don't have a hard number, but we do have a kind of like a spreadsheet that we put together for each village. That's we looked at a Google map and said, what are the physical businesses in each village? And we tried to flesh out, what their information was. So we definitely, I think every time we, especially in like Dobbs Ferry, every time we try to like distribute a flyer for an event, the range of actual brick and mortar businesses that we're trying to reach out to, I think is somewhere between like 40 and 50, I want to say. I think that's probably an average for each village. There's a lot of like little businesses that you don't think about, not just your normal storefronts and restaurants. So there's actually quite a lot in each village. And like I said, most of our membership comes from Dobbs Ferry already. So really we're looking at Ardsley, Hastings, and Dobbs Ferry to grow, that number. And there's a lot of potential there. Did that answer your question a little bit?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Women in business, I don't think we have a report. I know that she's working on events, but she doesn't have any dates to announce yet. So you'll be the first to know when she does. Village reports. Connie, do you want to talk about Ardsley? You're on mute.
Hi. I just briefly, we've started a dialogue with our new village manager. We're trying to plan another event that will bring the Ardsley businesses together. We are going to be doing some outreach to specific places of business that, we want some input from them so that we can bring that to the Ardsley Village Board, and we can determine the best way to enact something along the lines of an Ardsley Day, or Taste of Ardsley. If we try to focus more on the restaurants, And hopefully we'll be able to pull something off by the fall of this year. It would be nice. It seems that we have their support, or at least they're willing to listen to us. They're going to set up a second meeting with us next week. We had our first Ardsley Village Zoom call with the businesses. We will plan the next one, I think March 15th, and hopefully we will have more people in attendance. I think we had two businesses, two people that we had never had conversations with before. So that was a good first start. And I think that's about it. There is one other item. While Ardsley has enacted or has approved a comprehensive plan to change the dynamics of the Ardsley downtown area, they now have, I just saw, have started they're looking to implement a parks comprehensive plan. So I think they're going to incorporate what's happening with our parks, Pascone Park, so the village parks, not McDowell Park, and I think there's one other, and it's eluding me right now, not the county's parks, and tie that also to the downtown area. So that should be exciting, but that they just started that. They're asking people to submit proposals. So I think we're probably, maybe a year and a half to 2 years away from that. And that's what's been going on here in Ardsley.
Great report. Thanks, Connie. Dobbs Ferry. I don't see Patty on here. I can announce though that Chris from Dobbs Ferry Karate is the new second representative for Dobbs Ferry. So we're happy to have two people there and a brick and mortar business also as a representative. So looking forward to hear more from them. At the end of the meeting, I'll talk about these announcements for the Zoom chats, like Connie mentioned, for each village, and we'll talk about dates for those. Hastings, I don't see Joanna or Ellen. Barb, do you have anything from Hastings you want to tell us about?
Sure. Hi, everyone. We are in the process, Lisa from the Recreation Department and I, and with input from the business owners that we've, been collecting and asking, are putting together our budget request for the coming year, which is June 1st through May 31st in Hastings. So we put our budget request together with the village manager, which we just went over. We present it to the board at the end of February or somewhere between then and mid-March, and then we know what we've got, and we start planning everything. So these things I'm about to say are not for any kind of written calendars, or just for your ears, because we haven't gotten approval yet. So we just to do things in the right order of operation, or told our police department and gone through the dates and whatnot. But we are hoping to really basically go back to our pre-COVID kind of events and have a spring thing on May 15th, which is a Sunday afternoon, close the street. And we are having sidewalk work start from the I always want to say CBGBs, but it's, you know what I mean, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG grant. The aging punk rocker comes out. But anyway, so that work is going to start in the spring, and that's sidewalks from the corner of Spring and Warburton on the New Jersey west side of the street to the corner of Main, and then up to Slice's Pizzeria on Main on the south side of the street. That's the first section. In addition, but we are going to make it so, they're going to make it so businesses, of course, there's access to every business's door, and, try to get it done as quickly as they can. They're laying infrastructure like wiring and stuff. So it's, it's complicated, but the county's doing that. And then in addition, we have purchased garbage pails, recycling bins, new benches, and as soon as the weather is nice, those are going to go out throughout the downtown. So those are some nice physical things happening. We don't think that will affect closing the street for that event. So that would be May 15th, hopefully a spring thing. We're also planning various Earth Day events. There's the Conservation Commission, different people are involved, and Earth Day is on a Friday, so it won't happen on that Friday in April, but it will be, possibly tied into the spring thing in May and some other related events that they'll be announcing. And then on June 3rd, if that's the Friday, I don't have it in front of me, I think it is, on that first Friday in June, we're also going to have a Pride event. We're going to call it, instead of Friday Night Live, we're going to call it Friday Night Pride. And it's just basically going to be the same thing as a Friday Night Live, but it will be Pride themed. So there's a committee of people working on that with Lisa and I. So, and we'll be looping in any business owners that want to participate in different ways. So that'll be really fun. And we'll have a rain date of the following Friday. We just don't want all that work to go to waste. So hopefully it will happen. And we'd be happy, Sherry, to, announce your event at that event and pre-promote the Dobbs Pride event, since there'll be a receptive audience, I'm sure. So, yeah. And then the next time we're going to close the street is probably going to be Oktoberfest in the fall, which we are going to go back to doing on Main Street, hopefully. So and we're thinking about closing the Boulanger parking lot for a Wizard of Oz movie night in the fall because of the Hastings history with the Wizard of Oz. And the Jazz on Hudson will be back on Sunday afternoons, probably going to start mid-June and go through Labor Day weekend. And that's free. The streets remain open to traffic, and there's a couple of hours of fantastic live jazz in the middle of town. Yeah, so those are some of the highlights of the things that we're talking about. And I guess that's it. What we're not going to do is just close the street for outdoor dining, because we don't think that that's as necessary. We are going to welcome the restaurants that have been doing outdoor dining to continue. And there's a talk of a possibility of a fee for that, depend a little bit, but not like going back, nothing crazy, something really like what we did pre-COVID. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Barb. And Hastings did have their first Zoom chat all the way back in January, where businesses were invited to give input for all of these things that Barb is talking about. Hastings is very proactive about making sure that they hear from businesses through Barb. This is Barb's job, just to connect with us. So, and she does a good job of it. So there'll be another one I'll talk about, like I said, at the end of the meeting, there'll be another Hastings Zoom chat where it won't necessarily be with the village, but it'll be with the Chamber Village reps whose job is to be in contact with Barb and the village and relay, feelings from the businesses as well. Okay. Last group would be Irvington. Stacy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, Barb. Okay, so Irvington is meeting on our Zoom chat for the first time next Thursday. And that's what we have. So I would love to pick your brain on how you got all of your businesses to really respond to you and participate, because we're gonna do our first one next week with some help from Alan and Michelle, get our group together.
Yeah, we had a pretty decent turnout. I forget, maybe like 15 people or something I felt like were on, and more than you. It's not easy. What we did is we did it in the morning, at 9 in the morning. So
that's what we're doing. Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good time before a lot of people open their doors. And
right.
I don't know if it might be worth hand courting some people with some phone calls. I hope you can join us, kind of thing, for the first, and certainly emailing a reminder, of course, but yeah.
Right. Especially we've had a couple of new businesses in town too. So
yeah. I'm gonna put my cell number in the chat if you ever want to talk about anything, any of you, feel free. All right.
Yes. Yeah, so Barb actually works as a consultant for the Village of Hastings and has been doing this for a number of years. So it's definitely taken time to build up to the dynamic that we have in Hastings. I think the pandemic has, changed perspectives, and we could certainly probably build up to that similar dynamic a lot faster than maybe in the past. People are definitely more willing, to, I guess, except like in Dobbs Ferry, there's talk about hiring a similar kind of position as Barb, and maybe possibly in other villages. And I think there might have been a mention of it, right, Connie, in the plan for Ardsley. So there's definitely, I think, the feeling that, the downtowns aren't like this, these businesses aren't something separate. They're something that are part of the community and can fall under the village as how do we work together with businesses for the community. Yes, Nitin, we really need a Barb and Dobbs. I think Sherry's on it.
It's part-time consulting for in Hastings. You can do it any way you want, of course, but that's how it is in Hastings. So like 20 hours a week. So I have another client that's my other half of the week kind of thing, but yeah, it's nice. And it's really great. You work with the rec department as well as the trustees and the business owners and the chamber. We've had a nice, just like augment what each other does.
Yes, I enjoy it very much. Thanks, Barb.
Can
All
I
right.
just say one more thing too?
Oh, yeah.
What's interesting is the middle role that it plays between the board of directors and the business owners, because when the actual board has hired you to be a liaison with the businesses, I mean, it's in their interest really to really, listen to what you have to say because they hired you. You know what I mean? It's like it's a nice relationship. I mean,
Yes, that's a good point. Is the mayor and the trustees and the village employees really need to be on board with the idea that this is going to be a relationship that's going to happen.
yeah. I think when I first, just to share the history, when I first took this job like 7 years ago, there were a few merchants at the time who felt like, oh, they had a more of an us versus them mentality. And so they didn't actually love the fact that I was hired by them. And I said, but that's actually really great because, it's everyone's got buy-in. They created this position because they want your voices to be more, for you to be more included. So then there was a shift, and I think people realized that. And yeah, some people got it right away, but other people came to see the beauty of that, I think. It's just interesting.
Yeah. All right. Was that anything, nothing else, right, Stacy, for Irvington? Okay, before I move on. So just a few more things at the end of our meeting. One is new member announcements. We have a few new members this month. Ardsley Dental Spa, Balbost, am I pronouncing that correctly? And I think Gal, you're on. I'm just going to run through these really quickly, but just to let you know, we give new members the opportunity to introduce themselves. So we'll give you a minute here. True North Financial Solutions, I don't see them, and Joyful Dermatology, I don't see them either. So take it away, Gal. Let us know who you are.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a Hastings resident, Galia Guri. My company's name is Balaboste, or as any Jewish Yiddish-speaking grandma would pronounce it. I'm Israeli, so mine would be Balaboste. My company offers space organization services, both for the home and business. We focus on sustainability and wellness and customize our services to meet each client's unique needs. So I'm not gonna come and Mary Poppins your home, nor will I Marie Kondo your home and ask you to learn new systems. It's all about really meeting you where you are and working to create solutions that best fit your unique needs. And really the only little quick tidbit I'll add is, Barb, it's so good to see you here as a Hastings neighbor. I've spoken with Barb a couple of times and have been looking at different ideas to incorporate what I find through the removal of unused goods from my clients' homes and where could those go. And we had identified an area, not in the downtown area in Hastings, but by Andrews on Hudson, where we could open a small little garage and offer a take it or leave it initiative, a TLE initiative, which exists in other villages and cities even around the state. And this will be opening in the spring as well. And I'll be leading that effort on behalf of the village. So I'm really excited to incorporate that into.
So that's
my
awesome.
effort. Yeah, Barb, I'll touch base with you on that later. I kind
Yeah,
of feel like we
love to
should
help.
close that loop, you and me.
I want to help you promote it. Yeah. And also, are you in touch with the Conservation Commission, like with Haven and the other
Yes.
folks?
Yes, that's how it all kind of came to light. Haven's
This
the
is-
great connector.
Excellent. And they are working on we are working together on an eco fair. So just make sure you like,
Yes.
take it out and get in the loop and you can be at that. And
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful. I'll be in touch for sure. And again, thank you, everybody. I'm happy to be here.
That sounds like a really cool idea. I'm excited to see that.
Thank
Did you want to
you.
say something, Nitin?
Oh yeah, since Alale, Dr. Akavan's not here for Joyful Derm, can I give a shout out for her?
Yeah. I just want to say really quick that I think that just to mention to the new members also, but especially for what you're doing, because it's very unique. And I don't think we have any other members that are doing who are specifically doing organization. If you are looking to have more of a social media presence, we do Instagram takeovers for the chamber Instagram. So if you're interested in featuring your business, you can definitely do that. That's obviously the takeovers are the businesses are taking the initiative and doing all of the posts, but it's your platform for the day. So it's a good opportunity.
I love that, Michelle. Thank you for extending that. I was just corresponding with Alan earlier today on this topic exactly. So I'll be sure to circle back on this as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Joyful Dermatology. Let's hear about them.
Oh,
Thanks
yes.
for representing.
Dr. Akavan is a friend of mine. And I like to say she's part of the River Towns network, but she'd like to say I'm part of the Joyful network. But anyways, she is an incredible dermatologist and very knowledgeable. She created Joyful Derm to actually just kind of upend kind of any doctor experience that any of you had. She wants it to be joyful. So and a lovely experience. And many of my patients that have already seen her have loved her, love her. And she's been a great help to me. So she has a great space down at was it 145 Palisades? That big, she's got a great space over there. So please check her out. She's in Puerto Rico right now. So I'm happy to give her a shout out.
So is it like how you're set up, Nitin, where it's essentially I don't know what to call it.
Yeah. Basically we work for the patient.
Okay,
so
cool.
we get paid by the patient, we work for the patient, not like a hospital or an insurance company. But therefore, the results are made. Results are, we do our best to make sure we provide the results that she came to us for. So, but what I love about her, she's a geek. She absolutely loves, I didn't know I could ever meet a dermatologist that absolutely loves what they do. She really does. It's kind of odd, but it's awesome because I can call her anytime and same with my patients. And she has results. She has diagnosis and results. And so, but yes, she's enjoying Puerto Rico right now because I do think that she's going to be getting very busy soon as summertime starts to roll around.
Yeah, I believe it. All right. So at this point, the last thing on our agenda is a opportunity for community announcements. Anybody on the call that has announcements about the business, about a community organization, this is the time. And then we'll wrap up with me talking about dates for meetings and Zoom chats. Anybody? Anything to add? No?
I'm just going to say goodnight, guys. It's been a pleasure listening in. George Latimer.
Thank you, George. Thank you. All right. So the Zoom chats, if you're not familiar with these yet, they're business Zoom chats per village. What we're trying to do is really turn the chamber meetings back into a lot more networking like we've done in the past, and also just kind of overarching things that we can do for all of the villages. And then we want to hone in on what villages need specifically through these Zoom chats. The goal is to try to get them once a month. We're still trying to sync everything up. We have a couple new ones that haven't happened yet coming up in March, and we're trying to get ones that did happen to plan theirs around the ones that are happening at the beginning of March, so that we can have kind of a set schedule each month or every couple of months, however often the reps can get the meetings together. The goal here is not to really have an agenda. The reps can certainly report on things that are relevant to downtown businesses, but it's supposed to be a place for the businesses to come and talk about things that they want to see in the downtown or issues they may be experiencing. That way we have a better idea of really what's going on with the businesses in the village, and can then determine, what the chamber should be doing to best support those businesses. So we have the next one for Ardsley is on the calendar for the 15th of March at 10 a.m. And we're going to keep these all to Zoom. I think it's just the easiest way for business owners to get together for these kinds of chats. Irvington is going to be Thursday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. Dobbs Ferry, the two reps or new rep introduced to Patty, they determined that Friday, March 4th is probably good for them, but I don't think they picked a time yet. And then Hastings on Hudson, I'm sure that Joanna and Ellen, they're on top of things. They'll have a date and time for us soon. All of these will be posted to Facebook, to our chamber website under the events tab, chamber events. So you'll be able to find out dates and times and register there. And then lastly, we are going to have an in-person chamber meeting again for the first time in, it's been 2 years. Yes. We're also, another big shift is that we're going to try moving the chamber meetings to a different time. We're hoping that doing them earlier in the evening is better for most everyone. So certainly because we're shifting back to doing them in person and we want to be able to hold them at restaurants. One of the challenges that we had before when we did that, it was just very loud at this time of night trying to have a meeting at a restaurant. So, and it's also good for the restaurant starting earlier. They're not as busy earlier in the night as they are later, so they can better accommodate our group. So the first one is going to be at Harper's on March 30th, 5 o'clock for networking and 5:30 for the meeting. So for Zoom, we kind of shortened that networking time. We're going back to that half hour of networking before the meeting actually gets started. So 5 to 5:30 is your chance to come. The chamber is going to pay for some food for everybody to nibble on. Drinks are cash and carry. Hang out for that first half an hour, and then we'll get into our meeting agenda for the last hour. And obviously people can hang out afterwards if they really want to and make a night of it. What was the other thing I was going to say? We are going to put out a call for sponsors for meetings. So if there's a business who would really like to have more visibility at a meeting, that would be an opportunity to be a sponsor for the meeting. So when we announce the meeting via email, we'll mention that in there, and you'll just get in contact with the chamber and we'll give you details about sponsorship for that. Okay. Any questions about meetings or dates? No? So I'm gonna, oh, yes. Nitin.
I would love to sponsor the first in-person meeting in 2 years. I think it'll say a lot for Dr. Doomsday, because I know you all say that behind my back.
I feel bad for you. We don't say that about you.
Well, I mean, I did shut down a school district, like 2 of them, but I would like to do that to say we're safe, we're okay, we're safer.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
So
that is a great underlying theme there. We appreciate that. So we'll be in touch with you.
Cool.
Great. So I am going to adjourn the meeting at 7:59. I love to keep it under that hour mark, so I'm happy that I can do that. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and we will see you on the Zoom chat or in person.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.